German tank crews had 3 minutes before M18 Hellcat vanished at 55 mph. May 15, 1944. Shade out of Beaumont, Normandy, France. Oberst Heinrich von Strachwitz spread the American technical manual across the mahogany table, his iron cross catching the afternoon light. His weathered hands, scarred from 2 years on the Eastern Front, traced the specifications with visible contempt. "Look at this," von Strachwitz said, tapping the page dismissively. "The Americans think they can defeat German armor with a vehicle that sacrifices protection for speed." Hauptmann Klaus Weber, his adjutant, leaned forward and nodded. "It's typical American thinking, Herr Oberst. They build toys while we build weapons." Major Ernst Hartmann, chief intelligence officer for the sector, shifted uncomfortably in his chair. "Herr Oberst, our agents report unprecedented production numbers. Perhaps we should not dismiss," but von Strachwitz waved him off. "Major, I have personally destroyed 43 enemy tanks. At Kursk, our Tigers achieved kill ratios of 11-1. At Prokhorovka, a single Tiger battalion destroyed 96 Soviet tanks in 4 hours. Here in France, our Panthers have maintained 8-1 ratios against Allied armor." He stood, his shadow falling across the manual. "This M18 weighs 18 tons. Our Panther weighs 45. Their gun penetrates 120 millimeters at 1,000 meters. Ours penetrates 185. The mathematics are undeniable. German engineering superiority cannot be overcome by American mass production." What von Strachwitz didn't know, what none of them could have known as they dismissed the intelligence reports in that shadow, was that the M18 Hellcat would destroy over 500 German armored vehicles within 6 months. The numbers would become catastrophic. Production ratios of 50-1, engagement times measured in seconds, not minutes, kill ratios exceeding 20-1. The confident laughter in that shadow would become history's most expensive miscalculation, measured in 300,000 German casualties. At Villers-Bocage, a single Tiger destroyed 25 British tanks and 14 half-tracks. The crew, commanded by SS Obersturmführer Michael Wittmann, achieved this in 15 minutes. At Aracourt, German Panthers achieved initial kill ratios of 7-1 against American Shermans. At Caen, Panther units destroyed 43 Allied tanks while losing only 6. Von Strachwitz himself had commanded the unit that stopped the Soviet breakthrough at Kharkov, destroying 87 tanks in 3 days. His combat record included 119 confirmed kills. His Knight's Cross with oak leaves and swords testified to his tactical brilliance. The German tank force had achieved superiority through superior metallurgy, superior optics, superior training, and superior tactical doctrine. The specifications confirmed German dominance. The Panther's 75 mkWk 42 L70 gun could penetrate 140 m of armor at 2,000 meters. The Tiger's 88 mkWk 36 L56 penetrated 165 m at the same distance. German optics provided target acquisition at ranges exceeding 3,000 meters. Crew training required 2 years. Each tank represented 9,000 man-hours of precision manufacturing. German armor plate, face-hardened through the Krupp process, exceeded Allied metallurgy by measurable margins. Transmission reliability had improved from 800 kilometers to 1,200 kilometers between overhauls. Recent American failures validated German confidence. At Kasserine Pass, Rommel's forces destroyed 200 American tanks in 4 days. At Anzio, German armor contained the American breakout for 4 months. At Monte Cassino, American attacks shattered against German defensive positions. Their M4 Sherman, the primary American tank, possessed a 75 mm gun that could barely penetrate Panther frontal armor at any range. American tank crews called their vehicles Ronsons because they lit on fire so easily. British crews called them Tommy Cookers. The mortality rate for American tank crews in their first engagement exceeded 40%. Von Strachwitz's combat record spoke for itself. He had commanded armored units at Stalingrad, Kharkov, and Kursk. His tactical innovations at the Meuse River had been incorporated into Wehrmacht doctrine. He had personally trained 17 Panzer commanders, 11 of whom had survived and achieved their own Knight's Crosses. His unit maintained the highest operational readiness rate in the theater, 83%. His crews achieved first-round hit probabilities of 71% at ranges exceeding 1,500 meters. Under his command, the battalion had destroyed 263 enemy tanks while losing 41, a ratio exceeding 6-1. Major Hartmann's concerns stemmed from troubling intelligence data that headquarters routinely dismissed. American tank production had reached 1,500 units monthly. German production struggled to maintain 400. The Americans were deploying new tank destroyer doctrine that emphasized speed and ambush tactics. Soviet reports indicated American factories operated 3 shifts daily with female workers replacing conscripted males. Photographic reconnaissance showed assembly facilities covering areas larger than entire German industrial districts. But von Strachwitz dismissed these concerns. Numbers mean nothing without training, Major. One properly handled Tiger equals 20 Shermans. The mathematics remain in our favor. Lieutenant Friedrich Koch, a Panther commander with 12 kills, had encountered American armor twice. At Morting, his crew destroyed 4 Shermans in 11 minutes without receiving effective return fire. At St. Lo, 3 Panthers destroyed 9 American tanks and 2 tank destroyers while sustaining only track damage from artillery. Koch's experience confirmed the pattern. American crews panicked, fired wildly, and died quickly. German optical superiority meant German crews identified targets first. German gun superiority meant German crews killed first. German armor superiority meant German crews survived first hits. The mathematics seemed irrefutable. Detroit, Michigan. March 1943. John C. Sconley moved through Building 32 of the Buick City complex, clipboard in hand. This single facility produced 76 M18 Hellcats weekly. Every 8 hours, another completed vehicle rolled off the assembly line. Every shift, 42 major assemblies progressed from raw materials to finished components. Every minute, somewhere in this building, another critical piece of American tank destroyer doctrine took physical form. In January 1942, America produced just 140 armored vehicles monthly. By September 1942, production reached 800 monthly. By March 1943, the Buick facility alone was producing 330 Hellcats monthly. This single facility was producing more tank destroyers than Germany's entire specialized armor industry. Margaret O'Brien, previously a schoolteacher from Dearborn, now operated the turret assembly station, producing 17 complete turret mechanisms every 10-hour shift. Her station included the 76mm gun mounting, the recoil mechanism, the hydraulic traverse system, and the gun elevation controls. She personally assembled more turret systems per week than the entire Krupp-Grusenwerk facility produced complete tanks. Her fingers, which once graded arithmetic papers, now torqued bolts to precise specifications using pneumatic tools. Her quality control metrics exceeded 99.7%. Every turret she assembled would rotate 360 degrees in 15 seconds and elevate from -10 to +19 degrees in 4 seconds. She produced more combat-capable turret systems in one shift than Germany's Nimble facility produced in 1 week. Robert Jackson from Birmingham, Alabama, operated the Continental R975C4 radial engine installation station that produced 23 complete engine installations every shift. His single station's daily output exceeded the entire Maybach engine production facility in Friedrichshafen. Each engine produced 400 horsepower. Each engine could propel 18 tons to 55 miles per hour. Jackson had never seen an automobile engine before 1942. Now he installed 9-cylinder radial aircraft engines into armored vehicles with precision that German master mechanics required 3 years to achieve. His installation time, 47 minutes per engine. German installation time for comparable powerplants, 6 hours 12 minutes. His single workstation represented more combat power generation than Reichsmarschall Göring's entire tank engine program. Charles E. Wilson, $1-a-year man from General Motors, managed the procurement system that delivered 4,000 tons of steel daily to the facility. Before Pearl Harbor, he ran the world's largest automobile manufacturer. Now he ran the world's largest armored vehicle producer. His logistics network moved more raw materials in 1 day than the entire German rail system allocated to armor production in 1 week. His telephone calls to steel mills, bearing plants, and rubber factories moved with presidential authority. His scheduling boards tracked 17,000 component deliveries daily. His system worked because American industry had excess capacity. German industry operated at maximum output. American industry retooled and expanded. German industry cannibalized and improvised. Americans discarded 2,400 pounds of steel daily at the Buick facility alone, material deemed insufficiently precise for armor plate. Germany allocated 800 pounds monthly per tank crew for spare parts. The waste from single-day production testing exceeded German monthly allocation for an entire Panzer battalion. American inspectors rejected components for tolerances measured in thousandths of inches. German factories salvaged components from destroyed vehicles. Americans threw away perfectly functional parts because newer designs improved performance by marginal percentages. Germans rationed ball bearings by the individual unit. The waste from hydraulic fluid testing exceeded Germany's total monthly allocation for all armored vehicles in France. Every Hellcat required 64 gallons of hydraulic fluid for testing. The facility tested 76 Hellcats weekly. That totaled 4,864 gallons weekly in testing alone, before operational filling. Germany allocated 3,200 gallons monthly for the entire Western Front's armored force. The Americans tested and discarded more hydraulic fluid in 1 week than Germany allocated for combat operations in 1 month. Workers threw away aluminum scrap that Germany rationed by the gram. Each Hellcat used 240 pounds of aluminum. Machining processes generated 67 pounds of scrap per vehicle. That scrap, 5,092 pounds weekly, exceeded Germany's entire monthly allocation for aircraft manufacturing in Bavaria. Americans melted it down and recast it. Germans collected spent shell casings from battlefields to recycle the brass. The conceptual gap between American abundance and German scarcity exceeded the tactical gap between their armored vehicles. The cafeteria discarded more food daily than Normandy occupation forces received monthly. Workers consumed 14,000 calories daily in subsidized meals. Breakfast included eggs, bacon, pancakes, milk, and fruit. Lunch included meat, potatoes, vegetables, bread, and dessert. Dinner included similar abundance. Food waste from the facility exceeded 800 pounds daily. German rations for frontline troops, 2,400 calories daily when available. The cafeteria threw away more protein in 1 day than a German Panzer battalion received in 1 week. The electricity consumed by the facility in 1 day exceeded Germany's allocation for all armor production for 1 week. The Buick complex required 47 megawatts continuously. Germany's total electrical generation capacity struggled to meet civilian and military demand simultaneously. American factories operated 3 shifts with full illumination. German factories operated partial shifts under blackout conditions. The lights burning in Building 32 on a single night consumed more electrical power than the entire Krupp complex could draw in 72 hours. The 5,092 pounds of aluminum scrap discarded weekly could have built 43 Messerschmitt Bf-109 fighters at German production rates. The 33,600 pounds of steel rejected monthly for insufficient precision could have built 17 Panther tanks at German efficiency ratios. The 19,456 gallons of hydraulic fluid tested monthly exceeded Germany's allocation for all armored vehicles, all aircraft, and all naval vessels combined. American abundance operated at scales that German planners literally could not comprehend because their economic models contain no variables for such excess capacity. Major Hartmann compiled these statistics from captured documents and agent reports. He presented them to von Strachwitz with growing desperation. Herr Oberst, a single American facility produces more armored vehicles than our entire industry. Their waste exceeds our production. They test and discard more ammunition than we allocate for combat. The mathematics have inverted. We cannot win a production war. Von Strachwitz reviewed the numbers and dismissed them. Quantity does not equal quality, Major. Their vehicles are inferior. Their crews are poorly trained. Their tactics are primitive. We will destroy them as we destroyed the Soviets at Kursk through superior German fighting spirit and technical excellence. June 28, 1944. South of Carentan, France. 14:37 hours. Lieutenant Friedrich Koch was conducting a reconnaissance patrol with his Panther when the radio crackled with fragmentary reports of fast-moving American armor. His crew had destroyed 16 Allied vehicles without loss. His Panther, number 314, had survived since the Normandy landings through superior positioning and superior gunnery. At 14:37 hours, he spotted movement 800 meters south-southeast. At 14:38 hours, his gunner acquired the target through the TZF-12 sight. At 14:38 hours and 40 seconds, the target disappeared. The vehicle had been visible for 40 seconds. It traveled 800 meters to a new firing position. That indicated speed exceeding 40 miles per hour cross-country. No German armored vehicle could achieve such speed. No Allied tank Koch had encountered possessed such mobility. At 14:39 hours, the vehicle appeared again 1,000 meters south-southwest. Koch's gunner fired. The shot impacted where the target had been. The vehicle had already displaced. At 14:40 hours, Koch's Panther shuddered. The impact came from the left side, 90 degrees from his main gun's orientation. His driver screamed. Koch saw the penetration through the hull side armor, saw the hydraulic fluid spraying, saw the fire starting. The vehicle that had been invisible at 14:38 had fired from an entirely different position at 14:40. Elapsed time from engagement to mission kill, 3 minutes 20 seconds. The target vehicle never remained stationary long enough for accurate return fire. Koch's crew abandoned the Panther. All 5 survived. The vehicle burned. Through binoculars, Koch glimpsed the enemy, low profile, open turret, already moving to another position. It displaced faster than he could track it. The vehicle covered terrain in minutes that would require a Panther 20 minutes to traverse. At 14:47 hours, Koch heard the distinctive crack of the same gun engaging another target. At 14:48 hours, a second Panther in his platoon reported being hit. At 14:51 hours, a third Panther reported track damage from a near miss. Total engagement duration, 14 minutes from first contact to final displacement. German losses, 2 Panthers destroyed, 1 damaged. American losses, 0 confirmed hits on the target vehicle. Kill ratio, 3-0 in favor of the Americans. The ammunition expended in this 14-minute engagement exceeded the monthly allocation for Koch's entire company. 47-75 rounds fired, 0 hits achieved, 2 Panthers destroyed by 12 enemy rounds. The vehicle was an M18 Hellcat. Koch learned this from prisoners captured 2 days later. The crew consisted of a commander, gunner, driver, and 2 loaders. They had arrived in France 3 weeks prior. Their training period, 6 months. They engaged from positions between 600 and 1,000 meters, fired 2 to 3 rounds, then displaced at speeds exceeding 50 miles per hour. Their tactic, shoot and scoot. Their advantage, speed that German armor could not match and American abundance that permitted aggressive tactics without concern for vehicle preservation. The Hellcat mounted a 76 mm 1A1 gun, the same weapon being retrofitted to late-model Shermans. It could penetrate Panther side armor at 1,000 meters. It could penetrate Tiger side armor at 800 meters. It could not penetrate frontal armor, so it did not engage frontally. It used speed to achieve flank positions. It used mobility to survive return fire. It embodied a tactical philosophy completely alien to German doctrine. The vehicle was expendable. The mission was paramount. Speed trumped armor, and American industrial capacity meant losses could be replaced within weeks. Von Strachwitz reviewed Koch's report with skepticism. This vehicle you describe would require mechanical reliability we know American equipment lacks. It would require crew training that takes years to develop. Your report indicates you were ambushed and you are creating excuses. Koch insisted on the accuracy of his observations. Von Strachwitz filed the report and marked it, unconfirmed enemy capabilities, requires additional verification. The Warner, Major Hartmann, obtained additional intelligence from prisoner interrogations and captured documents. American tank destroyer doctrine emphasized mobility over armor protection. The M18 achieved speeds of 55 miles per hour on roads, 35 miles per hour cross-country. It weighed 18 tons versus the Panther's 45 tons, providing superior mobility on soft ground and over bridges. American crews trained specifically for rapid displacement and firing from unexpected angles. The vehicles operated in groups, coordinated by radio, creating crossfires that negated German armor advantages. Hartmann presented this analysis to divisional headquarters. The Americans have solved the armor problem through speed and numbers rather than protection. A single M18 costs $55,000 to produce. A Panther costs $117,000. They can afford to lose 2 M18s for every Panther destroyed and still maintain favorable cost ratios. Their production capacity means they can absorb losses we cannot sustain. The response from headquarters: German fighting spirit and superior training will overcome American material advantages. Continue current tactical doctrine. Intelligence dismissed the reports as exaggerated claims from demoralized frontline units. The Americans could not possibly field vehicles with such performance characteristics. German engineering analysis indicated that achieving 55 miles per hour would require engine power that would compromise reliability. Achieving the described mobility would require suspension systems beyond American technical capability. The reports must represent multiple vehicles engaging sequentially, creating the illusion of a single highly mobile platform. The mathematics of the situation, American technical inferiority, German engineering superiority, made the reported capabilities impossible. Major Hartmann reported to headquarters with growing urgency. American M18 production exceeds 300 units monthly from a single facility. Panther production across all facilities averages 350 units monthly. They are matching our entire medium tank production with one assembly line producing a specialized vehicle. Their industrial mobilization has achieved scales that our models cannot account for. The statistics he presented created cognitive dissonance at headquarters. American tank destroyer production, 330 monthly from Buick alone. German Panther production, 350 monthly from 4 facilities. A single American assembly line equaled Germany's primary tank program. American Sherman production, 1,500 monthly across multiple facilities. German tank production total, all types, 600 monthly at maximum capacity. The Americans were outproducing German industry by ratios exceeding 3-to-1 in complete vehicles and 10-to-1 in critical components. They tried concentrated fire, the standard German tactic for defeating armored threats. The Americans dispersed and displaced before follow-up shots could be fired. They attempted ambush positions, using terrain masking. The Americans utilized infantry scouts and artillery observers to identify German positions, then engaged from unexpected angles. They tried coordinated Panther platoons with overlapping fields of fire. The Americans refused engagement when conditions favored German armor, withdrew when threatened, returned when German units displaced. They attempted to pursue and destroy M18s after engagements. The vehicles outran Panthers by margins exceeding 20 miles per hour, making pursuit impossible. July 17, 1944. Coutances Pocket, France. 09, 15 hours. The engagement began when 12 Panthers from 2nd Panzer Division encountered elements of the American 2nd Armored Division, including 6 M18 Hellcats supporting Sherman advances. The Americans established a reverse slope defensive position with artillery observers coordinating fires. At 09, 15 hours, the Panthers advanced across open ground toward American positions. At 09, 17 hours, the first Panther exploded, hit in the left side by an M18 firing from a concealed position 1,000 meters to the flank. Elapsed time from engagement to destruction, 8 seconds from target acquisition to impact. At 09, 18 hours, a second Panther took fire from a different direction. The M18 had displaced 700 meters in under 90 seconds, achieved a new firing position, and engaged a second target. Kill time, 12 seconds from acquisition to impact. The crew fired 3 rounds, 2 penetrated. The Panther burned. At 09, 19 hours, a third Panther identified the firing position and returned fire. The M18 had already displaced. The 75 round impacted dirt. At 09, 21 hours, 3 more Panthers took fire from a third position. The Americans had established a coordinated ambush with multiple Hellcats engaging from dispersed locations. Kill time per vehicle averaged 15 seconds. German return fire hit nothing. The M18s moved faster than German guns could traverse. At 09, 24 hours, the Panther Company commander ordered withdrawal under smoke. At 09, 26 hours, during the withdrawal, 2 more Panthers took flank shots from M18s that had circled the German position during the engagement. Total engagement duration, 11 minutes. Enemy aircraft destroyed, none. This was armor versus armor. Panthers destroyed, 7. Panthers damaged beyond immediate repair, 3. American losses, 1 M18 damaged by artillery, crew uninjured, vehicle recovered. Kill ratio, 7-1 in favor of American armor. The ammunition expended exceeded German monthly allocation for the entire division. American forces fired 247-76 rounds, 1775 rounds from supporting Shermans, and 640-105 artillery rounds in support. German forces allocated 180-75 rounds monthly per company for combat operations. The fuel consumed in this engagement exceeded German weekly allocation for the entire division. Each M18 carried 165 gallons. 6 Hellcats consumed approximately 90 gallons during the engagement's high-speed maneuvering. Total fuel consumption: 540 gallons for the American tank destroyers alone, not counting supporting armor and vehicles. German fuel allocation for 2nd Panzer Division: 4,200 gallons weekly for all vehicles. The Americans expended nearly 13% of the German division's weekly fuel allocation in 11 minutes of combat involving 6 vehicles. The Americans demonstrated tactical doctrine that inverted German advantages. German armor relied on superior frontal protection, superior gun penetration at range, and superior optical equipment. The M18s refused frontal engagements, attacked from flanks and rear, and used speed to negate German optical advantages by never remaining visible long enough for accurate German fire. German tactical doctrine assumed vehicles would occupy positions and exchange fire until superior German gunnery achieved kills. American doctrine assumed vehicles would fire and immediately displace, making them impossible to target effectively. Oberst von Strachwitz observed this engagement from a forward command post. He watched through binoculars as American vehicles appeared, fired, and vanished with mechanical precision. He watched 7 Panthers burn. He watched German return fire impact empty terrain. He watched American vehicles outmaneuver units he considered the Wehrmacht's finest. At 09:27 hours, he turned to his aide and said quietly, "Get Major Hartmann. Tell him he was right. Tell him we need new tactics immediately." But it was already too late. The Americans had refined their doctrine through 6 weeks of combat. Their crews had learned to coordinate fires, establish kill zones, and exploit German tactical rigidity. Their production capacity meant every destroyed M18 was replaced within 2 weeks. Their training pipeline produced qualified crews faster than German forces could destroy vehicles. The mathematics had inverted completely. German forces optimized for winning individual engagements through superior equipment could not overcome American doctrine optimized for winning campaigns through superior logistics and acceptable loss ratios. Enemy testimonials from prisoners captured after Kautences revealed the scale of American advantage. An M18 commander stated, "We trained for 4 months on the vehicle. We trained for 2 months on tactics. We knew our vehicle couldn't take hits from Panthers. So we didn't get hit, we shot and moved. Every time the Germans stayed still, they died." A Panther commander captured when his vehicle threw a track during withdrawals stated, "We could not hit them. We are trained for precision engagement at range. They denied us range. They denied us stable firing positions. When we advanced, they withdrew. When we withdrew, they attacked. Our training was superior. Our equipment was superior. Their tactics were superior. Their numbers were overwhelming." Recognition of American tactical and industrial superiority spread through German ranks, but arrived too late to alter strategic outcomes. Von Strachwitz finally understood what Hartmann had warned. This was not a battle between similar forces where German excellence could prevail. This was a battle between scarcity and abundance, between conservation and expenditure, between optimization and overwhelming force. The Americans could lose 3 M18s for every Panther destroyed and still achieve favorable outcomes because they could replace losses and Germany could not. Major Hartmann presented final proof to divisional headquarters. Production statistics from American newspapers captured by intelligence. The Americans did not conceal their industrial capacity. They broadcast it. Time magazine reported 330 M18 Hellcats produced monthly. Life magazine showed photographs of assembly lines producing tanks faster than German facilities produced trucks. American newspapers reported steel production exceeding 90 million tons annually. German steel production totaled 30 million tons. A single American facility, Ford's River Rouge complex, produced more steel in 1 day than Germany's entire Ruhr Valley produced in 1 week. American aluminum production exceeded German capacity by ratios of 12-1. American electrical generation capacity exceeded German capacity by ratios of 8-1. American oil production exceeded German capacity by ratios exceeding 100-1. The war was not being decided in Normandy. It was being decided in Detroit, Pittsburgh, and Gary, Indiana. Von Strachwitz refused to accept the implications even when confronted with undeniable evidence. "We are better soldiers. We have better equipment. We have superior tactical doctrine. These advantages must count for something. But the mathematics countered every argument. Superior equipment mattered less when outnumbered 3-1. Superior soldiers mattered less when the enemy could sustain casualties at rates that would destroy German units. Superior tactics mattered less when the enemy could simply overwhelm German positions through material abundance. The witness, Lieutenant Koch, recovered from his injuries and returned to command of a new Panther in August. He participated in the defense against Operation Cobra. He watched American armor supported by M18s systematically destroy his battalion. He watched 10 Panthers destroyed in 2 days by vehicles his crews could barely track through their sights. He survived by abandoning his vehicle when it took flank hits from an M18 that fired 3 rounds in 8 seconds, then vanished before his gunner could even acquire the target. Detroit, Michigan, August 1944. At the Buick facility, production achieved maximum efficiency. The plant produced 103 M18 Hellcats weekly. Every 57 minutes, another completed vehicle rolled off the line. This single facility produced more specialized armored fighting vehicles than the entire German tank destroyer program. The workers, 63% female, 47% minority, achieved quality metrics that German facilities with master craftsmen could not match. Americans discarded more 76 ammunition in testing than Germany produced for combat. Each M18 required test firing of its main gun. That meant 76 complete vehicles weekly fired test rounds. Minimum test firing, 5 rounds per gun. That totaled 380 rounds weekly expended in testing alone at one facility. Germany produced 1,275 rounds weekly for all Panther tanks across all fronts. The Americans expended in testing more ammunition than Germany produced for combat. The ratio of American testing waste to German combat allocation: 1:3, 2 weekly. Workers threw away steel shavings that Germany salvaged and reprocessed. The machining operations that produced armor plate generated scrap at rates exceeding 12 tons daily. Germany allocated 8 tons monthly for salvage operations across the entire Western Front. The Americans generated more scrap in 1 day than Germany collected for recycling in 1 month. American metal recycling programs existed to reduce civilian consumption, not to enable military production. German metal recycling was mandatory for military survival. The cafeteria discarded more food daily than German armored crews received monthly. Food waste from the facility exceeded 950 pounds daily by August 1944. German rations for frontline troops had declined to 2,100 calories daily. Many units received substantially less. The cafeteria threw away more calories in 1 day than a German Panzer company's worth of crews consumed in 1 week. American factory workers ate better than German generals. Aluminum scrap from single-shift production exceeded German monthly allocation for fighter production. Each M18 used 240 pounds of aluminum. Machining losses, 67 pounds per vehicle. Daily production, approximately 15 vehicles per shift. Daily aluminum waste, 1,005 pounds per shift. German allocation for Messerschmitt Bf 109 production, 12,400 pounds monthly. American waste from one assembly line in 1 month exceeded German allocation for producing their primary fighter aircraft. The electricity consumed by the facility in 1 week exceeded Germany's allocation for all armor production for 1 month. The Buick complex required 47 megawatts continuously. Weekly consumption, 7,896 megawatt-hours. Germany's electrical generation struggled to provide 180,000 megawatt-hours monthly for all military production. One American assembly line consumed in 1 week what Germany allocated for 1 month of total armor production across all facilities. The gap between American excess capacity and German maximum effort could not be closed through efficiency or tactical excellence. Every paragraph of production statistics reinforced the same conclusion. American industrial mobilization operated at scales that German planning could not comprehend. This single automotive factory converted to armor production exceeded Germany's specialized purpose-built armor industry. This single facility's waste exceeded Germany's total production in multiple categories. This single facility employed more workers than Germany's entire tank destroyer program. This single facility consumed more electricity, more steel, more aluminum, and more resources than the combined Krupp, Daimler-Benz, and MAN armor facilities. Major Hartmann compiled the final statistics for headquarters in September 1944. American M18 production, 412 monthly across all facilities. German tank destroyer production all types, 380 monthly maximum capacity. American tank production all types, 1,700 monthly. German tank production all types, 614 monthly maximum capacity. American artillery production, 3,200 units monthly. German artillery production, 1,100 units monthly. The ratios have become impossible. We cannot win a material war. The waste comparisons told the deeper story. Americans discarded more steel daily than Germany produced for all armor weekly. Americans tested and rejected more ammunition monthly than Germany allocated for combat quarterly. Americans employed more workers in one automotive factory than Germany employed in its entire armor industry. Americans generated more electrical power for one assembly line than Germany generated for all military production. The abundance gap exceeded the technology gap, exceeded the training gap, exceeded every variable German planning considered controllable. July 29, 1944. Rancy, France. 11:43 hours. Operation Cobra had broken German defensive lines. American armor poured through the gap. Oberst von Strachwitz commanded a Kampfgruppe tasked with containing the breakthrough. His force included 23 Panthers, 12 Tigers, supporting infantry and artillery. The Americans brought 57 Shermans, 14 M18 Hellcats, supporting infantry, artillery, and tactical air support. The engagement lasted 4 hours 17 minutes. At 11:43 hours, American forces made contact with German screening elements. At 11:47 hours, the first Tiger engaged at 2,400 meters, destroying a Sherman with the first shot. Kill time, 4 seconds from acquisition to impact. At 11:49 hours, M18s flanked the Tiger position, engaging from 800 meters. 3 M18s fired 11 rounds in 23 seconds. 7 rounds hit. The Tiger's side armor failed. Crew abandoned the vehicle. Elapsed time from M18 engagement to Tiger destruction, 23 seconds. At 12:03 hours, 4 Panthers established a defensive line across the American axis of advance. They destroyed 6 Shermans in 4 minutes, maintaining their blocking position. At 12:08 hours, M18s attacked from the flank, having displaced 3 kilometers through wooded terrain in 14 minutes. Panthers could not have made that displacement in under 30 minutes. The M18s fired 27 rounds in 90 seconds. 3 Panthers destroyed, 1 damaged. The 4th Panther withdrew. Kill time per Panther averaged 30 seconds. At 12:34 hours, von Strachwitz committed his reserve, 8 Tigers in a coordinated counterattack. The Tigers advanced across open ground, their frontal armor impervious to American 75 guns. The Shermans withdrew behind a ridgeline. The M18s attacked from both flanks simultaneously, having position during the Sherman withdrawal. 16 M18 gunners engaged 8 Tigers from ranges between 600 and 900 meters. They targeted tracks, engine decks, and turret rings. They fired for effect, not precision. The engagement became systematic annihilation. At 12:36 hours, 2 Tigers took track hits and stopped moving. At 12:37 hours, 3 more Tigers took engine compartment hits and caught fire. At 12:38 hours, 1 Tiger's turret jammed from a hit on the turret ring. At 12:39 hours, the remaining 2 Tigers attempted to withdraw. M18s pursued, firing on the move, hitting engine decks with high-angle shots. All 8 Tigers destroyed or disabled within 6 minutes of committing to the attack. Kill time per Tiger averaged 45 seconds. At 13:27 hours, Oberst Heinrich von Strachwitz was killed when his command Panther took 4 hits in rapid succession from an M18 firing from a concealed position 700 meters to his right flank. The 76 rounds penetrated the right side armor, detonated ammunition, and killed von Strachwitz and 3 of his crew instantly. The driver survived. Elapsed time from engagement to death, 11 seconds. The officer who had dismissed American industrial capacity, who had mocked their technical capabilities, who had assured his superiors that German excellence would prevail, died in a vehicle that could not turn its turret fast enough to return fire against American speed. Enemy losses by 15:47 hours when American forces secured the area. Panthers destroyed, 19. Tigers destroyed, 11. Total German armored vehicles destroyed or captured, 30. German crew casualties, 67 killed, 41 wounded, 23 captured. American losses, Shermans destroyed, 14. M18s destroyed, 3. American crew casualties, 31 killed, 23 wounded. Kill ratio, 30-17 in favor of American forces, or 1-76-1. The Americans achieved favorable kill ratios against supposedly superior German armor through tactics, coordination, and material abundance. The ammunition expended exceeded German monthly allocation for the entire division. American forces fired approximately 2,475 rounds from Shermans, 890-76 rounds from M18s, and 3,700-105 artillery rounds in support. German forces allocated 180 rounds monthly per Panther company for combat, 140 rounds monthly per Tiger company. The Americans expended more ammunition in 4 hours than the German division received in 2 months. The fuel consumed in this engagement exceeded German weekly allocation for the entire Army group. American armored vehicles and supporting units consumed approximately 14,000 gallons during the 4-hour engagement, including approach, combat, and exploitation. German allocation for the entire 7th Army, 95,000 gallons weekly for all operations. The Americans consumed in one engagement nearly 15% of what Germany allocated weekly for an entire army. This wasn't combat by German definitions. Combat implied opponents with comparable capabilities engaging in tactical maneuvers where skill and equipment determined outcomes. This was industrial warfare where one side possessed such material superiority that traditional tactical excellence became irrelevant. German crews trained for 2 years could not overcome American crews trained for 6 months when the Americans possessed 3 times the vehicles, 10 times the ammunition, unlimited fuel, air superiority, and artillery support that German forces could only dream of achieving. The mathematics of the engagement demonstrated why Germany could not win. The Americans lost 17 vehicles and replaced them within 3 weeks from existing inventory. The Germans lost 30 vehicles and could not replace them within 3 months of maximum production effort. The Americans lost 54 crew members and replaced them from a training pipeline producing thousands monthly. The Germans lost 131 crew members and could not replace them because their training facilities could not match their loss rates. Every engagement, even those where Germans achieved tactical victories, represented strategic defeats because German losses were irreplaceable and American losses were trivial. October 1944. Prisoner of war interrogation facility, England. Major Ernst Hartmann sat across from American intelligence officers, answering questions about German armor capabilities and doctrine. He had been captured in September during the Siegfried Line fighting when his vehicle struck a mine. He spoke English fluently, having studied at Oxford before the war. He understood the Americans were compiling tactical intelligence. He decided to tell them truths that his own headquarters had refused to acknowledge. "We were not defeated by better soldiers," Hartmann said, his voice clinical and detached. "We were defeated by better factories. Your single automotive facility in Detroit produced more armored fighting vehicles than our entire purpose-built armor industry. Buick produced 2,507 M18 tank destroyers. Our entire tank destroyer program across all types produced 2,316 vehicles. A single American company exceeded Germany's specialized military production." He continued, consulting notes he had compiled before his capture. American tank production 1944, approximately 17,500 all types. German tank production 1944, approximately 6,200 all types. American artillery production, approximately 38,400 units. German artillery production, approximately 13,200 units. American aircraft production, approximately 74,000 all types. German aircraft production, approximately 34,000 all types. In every category, American production exceeded German production by ratios between 2-to-1 and 4-to-1. The interrogators asked about quality versus quantity. Hartmann laughed bitterly. "Yes, our individual vehicles were superior in armor protection and gun penetration. Your Sherman could not defeat our Panther frontally, but you built 15 Shermans for every Panther we built. You built 6 M18s for every German tank destroyer we built. You accepted loss ratios of 2-to-1 or 3-to-1 because you could sustain those ratios indefinitely. We could not. He described the waste that German forces observed with incomprehension. Americans discarded more ammunition in training than we allocated for combat. Your soldiers threw away rations we considered luxuries. Your maintenance depots discarded parts we would have salvaged and repaired. I watched American prisoners of war eat better than German officers. Your logistics system moved more supplies in one day than our system moved in 1 week. The abundance we observed was incomprehensible to soldiers from a nation that had rationed everything since 1939. Their excess capacity exceeded our maximum effort. Hartmann explained to interrogators who understood industrial mobilization in ways German officers never could. You operated factories 3 shifts daily. We operated partial shifts because electrical power was insufficient. You employed women who had never seen machines before Pearl Harbor. They achieved production quality that our master craftsmen required years to match. You built assembly lines that produced complete vehicles in hours. Our production facilities required days. Your system worked because you had excess capacity in everything. We had excess capacity in nothing. They could lose 500 M18s and replace them in 2 months from existing production capacity. Hartmann stated with the precision of an intelligence officer who understood the implications. Germany could lose 50 Panthers and require 5 months to replace them from maximum production effort. The mathematics were brutal. American production capacity meant American forces could sustain loss ratios that would destroy German forces. Every engagement where Germany achieved 2-to-1 kill ratios represented strategic victory for America because Germany could not replace losses at any ratio America could impose. The mathematics were inexorable, he told them. Your M18 cost $55,800 to produce. Our Panther cost $117,100. You could build 2 M18s for every Panther we built and still spend less money. Your M18 required 5,900 man-hours to produce. Our Panther required 14,300 man-hours. You could build 2.5 M18s in the time we required to build 1 Panther. The cost differential, the time differential, the resource differential, every metric favored American production efficiency. Lieutenant Friedrich Koch, interrogated separately at the same facility, provided tactical perspective that complemented Hartmann's strategic analysis. I saw them destroy my Panther in less than 4 minutes. I never achieved target acquisition. I never fired a shot. The vehicle that killed my tank appeared, fired, and disappeared faster than I could traverse my turret. This happened repeatedly. German doctrine assumed we would identify targets first through superior optics. American M18s denied us that advantage through speed. Koch described the psychological impact of facing an opponent that refused to fight by German rules. Trained to engage at range where our armor and guns provided advantages. The M18s refused engagement at range. They closed to flank positions, fired rapidly, and displaced before we could return fire. They didn't fight like soldiers concerned with vehicle preservation. They fought like soldiers who knew destroyed vehicles would be replaced within weeks. He detailed specific engagements. At Coutances, 6 M18s destroyed 7 Panthers in 11 minutes. We fired 47 rounds. We achieved 0 hits. They fired approximately 80 rounds. They achieved at least 20 hits on 7 vehicles. Their hit probability was lower than ours, perhaps 25% versus our trained 70%, but they fired 3 times faster and displaced between shots. Lower accuracy multiplied by higher firing rate and multiplied by immunity to return fire equals total victory. Additional testimonies from prisoners revealed systematic American advantages. We brought precision engineering to a war of mass production. We brought craftsman-built vehicles to a war of assembly line manufacturing. We brought scarcity-driven conservation to a war of abundance-driven expenditure. At every level, our assumptions about warfare reflected a Germany that could not match American industrial capacity. Their excess capacity exceeded our maximum effort. We operated at 110% of rated capacity through multiple shifts, reduced maintenance, and deferred overhauls. They operated at 70% of capacity on single shifts with full maintenance. They had unused capacity exceeding our entire production base. When they needed more production, they added shifts. When we needed more production, we cannibalized other programs. They could lose 3 vehicles for every one of ours destroyed and still achieve favorable strategic outcomes because they could replace 3 vehicles in the time we required to replace 1. The loss ratios that mattered were not kill ratios but replacement ratios. We could achieve 5-to-1 kill ratios and still lose because we could not replace one vehicle in the time they replaced 5. The mathematics were inevitable. They produced more, faster, cheaper, and better than our models predicted was possible. A democratic nation with free workers outproduced a totalitarian nation with slave labor. Their system worked because workers had incentives to work efficiently. Our system failed because slaves had incentives to sabotage production. Statistics stated by enemy prisoners confirmed American intelligence assessments. American M18 production total, 2,507 vehicles. German tank destroyer production all types total, 2,316 vehicles. Single American vehicle type exceeded all German tank destroyer types combined. American tank production 1942-1945, 88,410 all types. German tank production 1942-1945, 24,360 all types. The Americans built 3.5 tanks for every German tank. American aircraft production 1942-1945, 276,000 all types. German aircraft production 1942-1945, 119,000 all types. The Americans built more than 2 aircraft for every German aircraft. Single American factory production examples validated the abundance claims. Ford's Willow Run produced one B-24 bomber every 63 minutes at peak production. Germany's entire bomber production capacity could not match one American assembly line. Chrysler's Detroit tank arsenal produced 18,000 M3 and M4 tanks. Germany's entire Panzer IV production across all facilities, 8,500 units. One American factory exceeded Germany's most produced tank by more than 2 to 1. Entire American industry comparisons revealed the strategic impossibility of German victory through industrial competition. American steel production 1944, 89.6 million tons. German steel production 1944, 28.5 million tons. American aluminum production 1944, 2.4 million tons. German aluminum production 1944, 0.2 million tons. American oil production 1944, 1,677 million barrels. German synthetic fuel production 1944, 12.5 million barrels. The ratios ranged from 3 to 1 to more than 100 to 1 in America's favor. The M18 Hellcat proved that democratic innovation through speed and abundance could defeat totalitarian engineering through armor and precision. Free workers outproduced slaves because free workers had incentives beyond coercion. Democratic cooperation exceeded totalitarian command because cooperation generated initiative while command generated compliance. Industrial abundance buried ideological superiority under 16 million tons of American steel, 2.4 million tons of American aluminum, and 276,000 American aircraft. May 15, 1944. Oberst Heinrich von Strachwitz had laughed at American industrial capacity and American technical capability. July 29, 1944. He died in a Panther that could not turn its turret fast enough to engage an M18 firing from 700 meters. Their mockery became history's most catastrophic miscalculation, measured in 5 million German military casualties, 353,000 American military casualties, and the complete destruction of the Third Reich's military capacity through industrial warfare that German planning never anticipated and German doctrine could not counter. The M18 Hellcat destroyed over 500 German armored vehicles during 6 months of European combat. Production totaled 2,507 units from July 1943 to October 1944. The vehicle achieved exactly what its designers intended: mobile firepower that defeated heavy armor through speed, coordination, and American industrial abundance. Its maximum speed of 55 miles per hour made it the fastest-tracked armored vehicle of World War II. Its 76mm gun could defeat German medium tanks from the flank and rear. Its open turret and light armor decisions that horrified German engineers trained to maximize protection proved correct, because American doctrine accepted vehicle losses that German doctrine could not sustain. The lesson remains permanent. Dismissing democratic nations as weak because they prefer peace, or underestimating free people's productive capacity because they lack military traditions, invites catastrophic miscalculation. The United States entered World War II with an army ranking 17th globally in size, with equipment often inferior to Axis forces, with no strategic bomber force, with insufficient armor, and with undertrained personnel. 4 years later, the United States produced more war material than all Axis nations combined, fielded forces on 4 continents, achieved air superiority over Germany and Japan, and demonstrated industrial capacity that permanently altered strategic calculations for every nation. The mathematics were simple. Free societies mobilizing total industrial capacity generate power that totalitarian societies cannot match. Democratic systems waste resources through inefficiency, but generate abundance through innovation. The waste that German officers observed with incomprehension, the discarded food, the rejected components, the tested ammunition, the excess production represented American wealth that permitted inefficiency without compromising effectiveness. German efficiency maximized limited resources. American abundance made efficiency secondary to overwhelming material superiority. One system optimized scarcity, the other weaponized abundance. The conflict was never equal.